Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Matt Report podcast. A special guest today, Andrew Palmer. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mr. Medeiros.
Not to be confused with the famous drink, although your Twitter handle.
Well, at Arnie Palmer, because I play golf, but not as well as Mr. Arnold Palmer. And he didn't have that Twitter handle, but they used to call me Arnie at my golf club because my name is A. Palmer, so, not bad.
It's a funny thing. I too attempt to play the sport of golf, the biggest sport that you play against yourself. Or at least that's the way that I see it. And a lot of the YouTubers that I when I search how to perfect my swing, a lot of them are in the UK. Why is that? Is this just the algorithm feeding me up, or is it just intense golf nation?
I think because we've got European and British golfers that are fantastic. We've got Rick Shields, who's a pro golfer, but his handicap really, if even he admits, is like 7.
Wait a minute, are you better than a 7?
No.
Okay, I was going to say,
I wish.
I am nowhere near that.
The best I got down to before the new world handicapping thing was 9. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I got there. And then
far better than I am.
Well, no, I gave up. I broke my thumb and went through a divorce and therefore didn't play golf for 12 years. And then when I went back to my club, I was 26, which was outrageous. But I won things. I'm going to show you on the video because I know we're recording. But I won this in my first year, and it's basically the roll-up champion. And it's a bit of a farce, really, because you get points for how many you play. And I decided after selling Elegant Marketplace just to take a little bit of time off. And I played golf Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So I kind of got better. But my world handicap is 14, which isn't too bad. It's not too bad.
I mean, I would definitely take that. It's a good day if I can break 90. If I can break 90, I feel pretty good about myself at my local.
Yeah, similar. I mean, I think the best I've done is 3 over gross at my golf club, and the lucky thing was that I was playing with the golf pro as well. So maybe that was it. I was just on best behavior. Yeah. I've been known to throw the odd club or two.
Yeah. So we're going to talk today about your new venture. One of your new ventures is called Bertha.ai, and we're going to get to that in a moment. You have a long history. I mean, this is me saying, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You have a long history in the WordPress space, building businesses, specifically in, let's say, the Divi world and theme world and stuff like that. The interesting thing, though, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I heard you say on a podcast, because you're a co-host of the WP Tonic podcast.
I am a co-host. Yeah, I'm not quite as good as anybody else because I always muck up the beginning, and it's an NSFW podcast. There's a little bit of swearing goes on, and Mr. Denwood is not afraid to tell you who he thinks is a psycho or a wacko,
Right, yeah.
It's just the way it is.
The audience can decide. But what's really interesting to me is I think you have business experience outside of WordPress and traditional businesses. I think you said you maybe own a little interest in a pizza shop at one point. I think I might have heard that.
No, we started a pizza shop. My friend Danny and I started a pizza shop 6 years ago now. And I still have a little interest in it, but basically after about 7 months, when it paid everything back, I said, look, I need to concentrate on other stuff. And he said, yeah, that's fine. And bought me out of my shareholding more or less. But, I still get free pizza and I still have to manage the point of sale system and stuff. So I'm still involved in the business, which is great, but it's a nice distraction as well when you're involved in a bricks and mortar business and, have meetings, ad hoc meetings, or phone, I get a phone call from Danny and saying, what do I do about this? It's nice to feel a little bit involved and, but I'm not in it now really. I mean, I still own a bit of it, but not much,
I feel like, the customer service from selling a $5 slice of pizza can scale infinitely to even a $5,000 website or a $50,000 project. Like there's so much to know about the basics of customer service that happens in a pizza shop, a sandwich shop, a bakery, that a lot of us in the software world just don't get because a lot of the software sales are just done behind the screen. It's through email. Now it's more Zoom and maybe face-to-face, but still largely it's social media interaction and just selling through text on a screen. There's probably something to be said. I don't know what there is to be said about selling a slice of pizza is like selling a $5,000 website, but I'm sure there's like a thread of commonality in that experience.
Well, actually, you're really on point there, because pizza's pretty much on demand, right? And especially through COVID, we had a very lucky escape as a pizza restaurant, because we immediately transitioned from a 42 cover restaurant to just takeaway and collection and delivering through Deliveroo and Uber and all that kind of stuff. And also, I mean, now there's 7 drivers of our own. So, that's an on cost. But pizza's on demand, and look at the web world, how much on demand it is. I want a website now, especially during the COVID period of the real lockdowns. We were doing websites on demand and we're building them in a day just to get them out there, and then obviously maintaining them and getting them there. Social media, Twitter, you've seen Twitter, the almost instantaneous response that people require. People telling people that they're not doing things right. So those people then have to act on that and then do a blog post to say that we're really trying to do things right. Over the last few weeks, we've had a few spits and spats going on. But running a business is the same whether it's brick and mortar or not. With brick and mortar, you have a lot of overhead. You have the heat, light, power, especially a pizza place. You have the food supply issues. We've had food supply issues in this country for a while. People have blamed it on Brexit. It's not Brexit. It's just that there is a food supply issue. Flour is difficult to get over from Italy, not because of Brexit, because of the demand. Fruit and veg, potatoes went up, for instance, from, let's say, $5 for 56-pound sack of potatoes. They went up to $15 overnight.
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
So it's just the way, and then you've got to put that into your margins. If you're a fish and chip shop, or if you're a restaurant and you're using fresh potatoes, do you really charge $5 for those chips, or for French fries, as you guys call them?
Yeah.
Or do you continue charging $3.50 or £3.50? So you have to make those kind of decisions. Wages have gone up because people are working longer hours, staffing shortages as well. So we're experiencing that in the web world. And one of the things that I've seen is hosting companies buying plugin companies and other companies. And effectively, because they have the money, they're buying out the developers that I want to use. And I can't go to the 150 grand a year with the benefits and with the holidays and with everything in there. So you still have to, you have to run your business very, very carefully, very properly.
I recently interviewed Brian Gardner, and I kind of said that to him. I mean, Brian Gardner, built out what was known as Studio Press, eventually sells it to WP Engine, works there for a stint, leaves, creates Frost, sells it back to WP Engine, and then gets a job, or they maybe fell out of that order, but is still, what I said was, hey, this product game, creating micro products, not that Frost is a micro product, but even in today's world, you could build a micro product to get acqui-hired. Like it's almost like your resume, to like build a little product to show off what you can do and then sell that to get hired. Like it's almost like brands will buy that these days because it's so hard to get somebody, even if you only have 500 customers.
Well, that's exactly what Extendify did. I mean, we had a vendor on Elegant Marketplace who became a very good friend of mine, Munir Kamal, who built Editor Plus, which he's celebrating today. He, as of today, the 14th of whatever date you're putting this out, but 7,000 downloads on WordPress.org. And I introduced him to Chris Lubkert of Extendify. Chris ends up buying Page Editor Plus,
right,
and whatever Munir's doing. So that's how this happens. People go out and they see these developers doing great work, and they say, right, I want him on my team, or I want his team on my team, because Munir has got a team behind him as well, as I have. I'm not looking to get bought again quite so soon. You know, we've got Bertha.ai, we've got wppluginsplus.com, which has got 23 plugins for Elementor and Divi, serving 200,000 people. You know, we've got 200,000 active plugins out there. So, you know, we're quite busy. Just getting on with it.
What have you thought about going that route with adding to the portfolio of, and look, this is a preface to get into, I want to talk about like the competitive landscape of Gutenberg. I put out a video over the weekend about Gutenberg and how I think that it's actually a different future for page builders. And we can talk about that in a moment, but have you felt like the need to, okay, man, it's tough to hire somebody just straight salary. Maybe I have to go that route and knock on a small plugin or product creator's door and say, hey, I'll buy those 4,000 installs from you and you join the company as a senior developer or anything like that. Is that something you're actively exploring?
It's something I do, but I do in a different way. I mean, with Mamdani, who lives in Pakistan, you know, he approached me and said, look, I'm building this thing out, but I need some finance behind it. And, you know, I need to get it. So we're basically a joint venture, both co-founders of it. And it's GutenbergAI.com, you know, so if people go to try.gutenbergai.com, you can see, if you upload an Elementor layout, you can see the progress that we're making. We were selling it, and then I decided not to sell it because it's not 99% perfect. And for me, it needs to be, you know, to keep the support burden down, to keep the complaints down, the user experience as best as it can be. It needs to work as a plugin. But if you go to try.gutenberg.ai, you'll see that it actually does work with most Elementor layouts, and things are missing. But, you know, if they're using third-party plugins, we can't be perfect. But we've got Blocks Bakery as well, which is on wppluginsplus.com, and that's a Gutenberg Blocks plugin that works with Gutenberg AI. So, you know, I'm looking to increase on that, but my focus really is on my agency, which is WP Plugins, and Bertha. You know, that's the real focus, because my agency has got, I don't know, 500 websites that we host. You know, if we're stuck for a bit of web design, we'll just ring one of those guys up and say, look, you know, a couple of grand, we'll redo your website. And people go, oh yeah, great. Okay, we'll do that. Yeah. But I get approached all the time by, you know, a plugin developer, a theme developer approached me the other day and said, you know, how can we work together? And I said, after I finished with everything else that I'm doing, because I'm just too busy. You've got to be focused on what you're doing. And if you're not focused, you'll lose traction more than anything else.
Yeah. I've been saying this for a while, and it's good to hear that people are knocking on your door. I've talked to other folks. The same thing is happening where, look, if you're in this game, it's easy to sit behind your computer and say, man, I'm going to build this product. It's going to change the world. Everyone will want it. I will just price it at $29 for the year, and I'll just sell a whole bunch. And that'll be the ticket to the promised land. Sadly, these days, it's going to be quite challenging to do that. And you know what? I look at now with, you know, the products and the services that I've built. Look, sometimes you just have to be real with yourself, partner up with somebody, and you don't have to try to own the world with your one thing. And especially if it's your first one or two products that you've ever created, you know what? You're going to learn a lot if you try to partner up with somebody and even just get acquired by somebody to stay on the job and build it out, because there's so much to learn still if you're a young product owner. I mean, unless you're building this unicorn thing. If you're slow paced in the WordPress space, I say partner up with somebody, partner up with an agency, a marketer, somebody that offsets your skill set for sure, because it's a long road in this competitive landscape.
I 100% agree. And I had, you know, I've got my one of my best friends, Sean Barton, who's a fantastic plugin developer, but he's not a marketeer or a marketer, however you guys want to say it. But you know, with the plugins that I own, I've acquired them from him because he's busy doing other stuff. So I said, look, I'll take him over. I've got the platform. I've got the easy digital downloads license. I can do everything on that. I'll pay you out over time, whatever. And I did the same with Page Builder Cloud and Layouts Cloud. And I sold my half to Melissa Love, who's in partnership with Sean, because she's the marketer, he's the developer, and he's an awesome developer. And I think that's the way it should go, because you need somebody to do the marketing. You need somebody to care about the product. Whereas a developer will kind of think, right, it does this. Yeah, right. But why? Why does it do that? Where's the need? Where's the desire for somebody to use this? Yeah, it's okay. So, there's a new plugin come out today. It lets you read the SQL queries in WordPress in the actual dashboard. Why would you want to do that? I just don't get it. You could just log into your hosting and view the SQL.
Right. Somebody wants to
do a query. Somebody wants to do it, but I don't really see why. Then that opens up the dashboard to maybe another. If you get hacked, everyone can see your SQL. I don't get it. But for useful plugins, and now with Gutenberg blocks coming in big time, Cadence and Blocksy and all these great people that are really working hard, Matt. What is the differentiator going to be? I've got a great block plugin. So what? There's 750 out there already. You've got to make it so good these days. And also, WordPress as WordPress doesn't really let you market it, right? You can put it on .org. You can try and SEO the heck out of it. You can tell people it's on there, but you're not really allowed to put any marketing speak in there or upsells or anything like that. And I think WordPress as WordPress, the repository, kind of needs to revisit that for people. If Automatic are allowed to make money and upsell, then us mere mortals need to be able to do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that these days everyone is comfortable with the freemium model. Hey, I know I'm going to get this thing for free, and then I'm going to upsell because WordPress has been doing it now nearly 20 years. Well, not exactly 20 years, but for a while. And then we have the App Store, right? The general app stores of the world, iOS, Google, and we're all sort of used to this thing where for a couple bucks we can get the premium, but in our case, it's bigger numbers because we're building more unique stuff. But what I would really like to see, and I know I'm not the first one to say this, I've seen other folks say it as well, is, hey, can we at least, if we're not going to build a proper marketplace, and I know you have experience in marketplaces, if we're not going to build a marketplace, because it's easy for us to say, .org should just become a marketplace. But at that scale, I'm sure you're laughing to yourself saying, yeah, good luck. It's a great idea, but it's just not going to be a flip of a switch. And then all of a sudden, billions of dollars, because, I think there's $1 billion running through .org. $1 billion is not going to get processed overnight, or have the staff or the search or the deliverables of, what like Theme Forest did. And this would be Theme Forest on steroids times 20 is what I would imagine.
You would also have the marketplaces rebelling against you for doing that, because it would immediately, Elegant Themes, the owners of Divi, started a marketplace. That's a proper kick in the shins of people like Divi Cake, Divi.space, Elegant Marketplace, because we helped them build up. But they saw the value of a marketplace, and people are making fortunes on there. So I'm not too distressed because I don't own Elegant Marketplace now. The timing was right when I sold it. But, for a theme like Divi with 750,000 live installs, to actually have a built-in marketplace was a kind of a kick in the teeth to the people that helped them grow that business to 750,000. And I've said this to Nick personally, I met up with him in, I rephrased it. I said, do you want to kiss me before you kick me in the nuts? So it's kind of, it's just a kind of a thing, but fair play to them. It's a massive success and it's making a lot of people a lot of money, which is great. But the same kind of criticism might go through to WordPress.org. What I want to see is, for WordPress.org, what I prefer to see is the ability to actually say or highlight the fact that the pro version is so much better, and you would be supporting the developer rather than that donate button that you can put on, which is great. People can donate, but make people realize that WordPress is a commercial opportunity for people. You know, I did a talk years ago at Bristol Meetup about if you're a developer, a coder, don't be afraid of page builders. Use them to be able to monetize your other skills. So build out your website really quickly with Beaver Builder, Divi, Elementor, whatever was around at the time, but then make your difference by being that coder that can build out a website really quickly and then build in the functionality. And WordPress.org really needs to allow people to build in licensing properly into the plugins on .org. You know, Freemius have kind of got around that by I don't know how they've got around it. I talked to Vova, but he won't tell me how he's got around it. I kind of sussed it, but you know, and we're allowed to put upsells into the plugin itself, but I don't like them appearing on the dashboard. I'm kind of on the fence with this. I'm against plugins promoting in the actual dashboard, but I'm for plugins promoting in their own dashboard. So, for instance, Bertha has its own dashboard, and it tells you upgrade if you want to. You know, if you run out of words, upgrade, and I think that's completely fine.
Yeah, giving us like a mechanism. I say us, you know, the product builders at large, plugins and themes, a mechanism inside of WordPress core to actually promote the premium product. That way, it's just not this plastering, you know, billboards everywhere in the user's dashboard, because that's what's going to drive me crazy. I was really thinking about this, and I want your opinion on, you know, earlier you said, well, look, it's great. You have a Gutenberg plugin. What's the big deal? What's the big difference? There's 1,000 other Gutenberg block plugins these days, and I think that's where we're headed. But I was thinking the other day that, well, maybe page builders, like right now we say, what's the best WordPress page builders? Or building a WordPress page builder is very difficult because there's a lot of competition. I started to think, well, you know, gee, Matt the other day in the State of the Word said that Gutenberg is bigger than WordPress. So I started thinking, well, maybe the issue is for page builders specifically, well, where you're trying to build your page builder solution inside of WordPress. And oh, by the way, full site editing just got released. So layout changes and customizing templates is going to be happening by core. That was largely a value add for page builders. Maybe page builders just have to be called page builders now, and immediately go the route of self-hosted SaaS solution, because that's what they're all aiming for anyway as an eventual outcome. And then just adopt Gutenberg as your open source tooling to make the job easier. Like they all pick WordPress because you've got the distribution, you've got the platform, you've got user logins and all that stuff, and everybody's hosting their sites. Well, maybe page builders could leverage whatever fast technology they want to build the framework of a website, and then they just adopt Gutenberg as the editing experience for that website, which kind of gives back to Matt's future vision of Gutenberg being bigger than WordPress. Now we start to see in a future where the numbers get lopsided, where the internet has a bigger distribution of Gutenberg than there are of WordPress websites. Big grenade tossed your way. What do you think about monetizing the future of page builders, or just seeing Gutenberg extend itself beyond WordPress?
I don't know how Gutenberg will extend itself behind WordPress, because it's core to WordPress. So I'm not that technically adept to think that question. It's a bit of a drive-by shooting. Thanks for that. But page builders, the beauty of page builders, when I discovered Divi, it was a block builder. Right. So they should have patented the thing called block, but Nick missed a trick on that. When I looked at Beaver Builder and Elementor when it first came out, I had a good old chat with Yoni and Ben when they first launched. We actually interviewed them on Elegant Marketplace, and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal because you can drag and drop and place and do columns and do nice, easy mobile first design, which is, I think we should all start. And we're having to go and my developers and saying, think mobile first, idiots, what's going on, and they go, oh yeah, oh God, because you can build a great website on a desktop. It will look great. And then you throw it on a mobile. I know there's 84 different devices out there, but you still got to think mobile first and it will look crap. And that's the problem with WordPress Gutenberg. Making it mobile friendly is frankly a nightmare, and they haven't thought about that. So the page builders had thought about that. That you can have with Divi, you can have different views. They've got different techniques for and learning for making your site pretty much word mobile friendly. Divi also, I seem to remember, have a block or a Divi module, as they now call them, for a Gutenberg block. So you can place Gutenberg within Divi, right? But if you go back to the fact that WordPress was originally Mike Little and Matt Mullenweg designed it as a blogging platform or came from the blogging world, I think page builders should stay away from the posts, right? Not CPT, not custom post types, but from posts. So allow people to blog using Gutenberg, because I think it's a phenomenally fast way to blog out there. And keep the page builders for the theming and for the prettiness and for the motion and for the pop-ups, Elementor, as a plugin a couple of years ago, I think, put pop-ups into their page builder. So that destroyed all the pop-up market.
Right.
Go, what?
Yeah.
And, and we designed the Divi, the sort of the Elementor form plugin, which allowed you to capture the data on actually within the website. Lo and behold, 6 months later, it's in core of Elementor, and that's the risk you take as a plugin developer. And that's the risk you're going to take, Matt, as a Gutenberg block developer, because Matt might look at it one day and go, oh, we can do that. We can put a slider in. We can put, multiple columns. We can do the mobile stuff. But for Divi itself, Elementor have done it. $89 a year. You get Elementor Pro and hosting. I'm going to spend $89 and do it, because I want to see what the hosting is like, because I use GridPane to manage all my hosting on different servers and stuff like that. And I love it. But so I want to see what the speed is like and what the actual experience is like. Divi, I think, will go that way. They offer hosting through SiteGround, even Bluehost, and even HostGator. I think they recommend these people because if you've got a license, you can install it on any one of those hosts, and they'll install Divi, and then all you do is you copy and paste your license. So it's a one-click install. And a lot of the hosts are going that way. Look at Cloudways doing they'll install the Visual Composer onto a thing with you. So I think that's the way the market is going. Hosts and host type providers like GridPane, Cloudways, RunCloud, they will auto install the theme of your choice, the page builder of your choice on the hosting. So I'm not sure the page builders are too worried about Gutenberg becoming the de facto, but they're working towards making sure that they work together in sync, if you like, rather than making Gutenberg come to the top. Otherwise, the differentiator isn't there. And Gutenberg, you can't drag and drop as yet. You can in the sidebar, but you can't really manipulate it as you would a page builder. Yeah,
the experience is certainly nowhere near, Beaver Builder, Elementor. Obviously, they've had years in advance to, which is surprising. I don't want to get into the whole why didn't Matt just acquire one of these technologies and just start rolling that way instead of starting from scratch? But I can understand why you can start from scratch. And I like to look at what he says and predict 5 years out. And that's why I think he just sees the portability of Gutenberg and the ability to impact at a wider cast with Gutenberg and open source. Let's not forget open source, because I think that is a huge part, and it's good on him for rallying around open source. I think he looks at Gutenberg as, look, I can actually make this thing impact the internet versus WordPress just impacting websites. He's accomplished that with websites to a massive degree with this last I checked was 43% for websites. And I think there's a future where he sees Gutenberg just being could possibly be the interface on an Apple device. It could be the interface on a refrigerator that you're typing or moving blocks around. I think that's the kind of crazy vision he might have for that.
Well, I think you're right, because it's built on React and JavaScript, isn't it? So, when I think it was one WordCamp, it was a US-based WordCamp, probably the second one I went to, could have been St. Louis, or it could have been Boston, or one of them, a big one where he appeared. And I remember him standing up there, and for Matt, he doesn't really shout, but he literally shouted out, learn JavaScript. It's important, right? So everyone remembers that. But it would be interesting, now I'm thinking about it, because I know I've just remembered how it's built. It could go into anything. Could it go into Shopify? Could you have Gutenberg blocks in Shopify or Squarespace or Wix even? That would be amusing. Yeah. Seeing Gutenberg in Wix, wouldn't it?
100%. All right. So instead of solving the world's problems through page builders and visual design and your agency, you come up with this crazy idea to create text through artificial intelligence. How the heck did you land on this idea with Bertha.ai?
Wasn't my idea. I just really hate to say it. It's just not my idea. Damn it. It was the inimitable Vito Peleg, who is a very great friend of mine and my business partner. So we have no...
Are you local to each other, like within a driving?
We are now, because I've recently moved house. So we're now, rather than an hour away, we're 30 minutes away from each other.
Oh, not bad.
He doesn't drive. It's me that's got to do all the traveling, because he's glued to his desk, man. He's just had a baby. Throws the lovely Liv out to a childminder and just get glued to his desk all the time because of Atarim and stuff like that. But he approached me because he's obviously got Atarim. That's doing pretty well. And he wanted to have artificial intelligence on the notepads of Atarim, which is basically a feedback tool. And then he thought I could make this bigger. So he'd already done all the research with OpenAI. He'd already written a couple of prompts, and then decided that he was just his team of, I think he's got 9 now, were just too busy. So he came to me and just made me busier than I am. And I just said, yeah, okay, I'll do it and I'll finance it. And yeah, of course, I've got £2.
Hold on while I order this sack of potatoes and some lettuce. And
but it was an AI thing too. It was an instantaneous decision. He said, I got this. And I went, okay, what is it going to cost? And he told me what it's going to cost. And I went, oh, God, that's my holiday out the window for the next 5 years. But it's basically my team had to learn OpenAI. I had to learn OpenAI. I had to learn how to write prompts. I've written about 3 of them, and Vito's written about 80, 90, 85%. My guys have studied it intently and everything, and how to get the information back. But because we build websites, and we have built websites, I've built over 2,000 websites in my career, right? So it's been quite a long career. Vito's built 1,500 or something, in a very short period of time. And we know that what people want is pretty similar. It's a header, it's a footer, it's the middle, it's the blurbs, it's the calls to action, it's the PAS, it's the ADA marketing frameworks that you want to use, and it's just generating text quickly. So we built it out, and we started in May, and we launched in September. And we've now got 2,500 users, which is great, because we came up with a phrase. We have marketing meeting every Tuesday, or a dev meeting / marketing meeting every Tuesday. And I came up with the phrase that I want Bertha to be the Grammarly of AI for WordPress. So we're basically giving everything away for free, apart from long form, and for 1,000 words for the time being. I just want people to see the power of it. But effectively, I've now built 12 websites with it since we launched it, and my clients are amazed at the fact that I can put content in it at the same time without any kind of delay. Because as we're building out, we're putting in the CTO, we're putting in the call to actions, we're putting in the blurb information. This is from cryptocurrency as well. It's right through to florists, catering, restaurants. One of my niches is restaurants because I used to be a chef. I used to have a couple of restaurants as well, and obviously the pizza place helps. So I help restaurants market themselves as well on the web.
Yeah.
So there is nothing that Bertha can't write about. You still have to think of Bertha as that person sitting next to you that comes up with the ideas and frameworks for what you want to say, and you are the editor. So she's the journalist going out there, so writing all the stuff, doing all the research, because all the research has been done. You put in one sentence or a paragraph and press a click, and your blurb's done, your paragraph's done. And with long form, you can literally write thousands of words in an hour. It really and edit it and stuff like that. So that's really quite intriguing. And we saw that there wasn't really anything for WordPress. There was Content Bot, which do a great job. It's a really good plugin. It's more of a SaaS now. They've built out a kind of a SaaS thing through it, and it's very Jarvis-like in its look. But we wanted something to be compatible with all the page builders, or as compatible as we can. And one of the things, shout out to Visual Composer guys and girls. They reached out to us and said, look, we really like this, because they have a lot of content in their plugin. You can get Visual Composer and build a website in seconds, literally build the website in seconds. What you can't do is get the content in there. So they worked with us to make it 100% Bertha, 100% compatible with Visual Composer, and it just works perfectly. Obviously, we're Divi. We made it work with Divi. Obviously, we're Elementor as well. It works with Elementor, Oxygen, and effectively all of the page builders out there. But the key is to generate the content quick enough and cost effectively enough for us as well, but also for the website owner or the agency. We have some agencies out there that are being incredibly loving towards Bertha. We've got a Facebook group, and there's just one guy that just keeps on posting, I'm in love with Bertha. It's just because to be able to kill, one of our clients came up with the lorem, Bertha is the lorem ipsum killer. And to be able to kill lorem ipsum, how many times, Matt, have you shown a layout to a customer, a website to a customer, and they said, why have you put Greek in there?
Right.
And you've gone, actually, it's Latin, but it's lorem ipsum, So
right.
And to not have that in a website will increase your productivity no end. So Vita and I are all about productivity and speed to market, right? Always. And that's why Atarim exists, because it helps you get all your feedback in nice and tidily. With Atarim, we totally put Bertha into Atarim as well. So in the notes, the customers can actually use Bertha to write the content that they want the web developer to put in that particular section as well.
Yeah.
So it's crazy, but you got to view her really as your writing assistant. So it's a quick start. Got there, you can write a blog post about anything. One of our greatest decisions was to employ Imran Siddiq, who is a great Elementor user and a great teacher on his web squadron, on building websites out. And he did a review screaming about how good Bertha was, and it was really funny and it was lovely. So we asked him literally last month, beginning of January. Is it February now? Yeah, beginning of January. And he has done 51 tutorial videos already because he absolutely adores the product. So we've got the Learning Academy there with slowly teaching people how to do it. So it's that's how it started, and that's how it's going to continue.
So it's just like one of those things where now you're not just creating a block. I'm sure you'll have more competition in the future, but this is not something that is as easy for somebody to put together as like, I'm going to do another pricing grid block and I'm going to build that to compete with you. This is a space that you can really sink your teeth into and be a market leader, specifically, as we all know, who are listening to this podcast, specifically in the WordPress sector, because no one else is really doing it. Like you said, there's a couple other plugins that do it in a different way, but this is something that you can really start to recoup that holiday money back on. I would hope.
Well, fingers crossed. To be honest, Bertha is now paying for herself, and she has paid me back. So all of my investment has been come back over the last couple of months, which is good.
Nice.
And now it's a question of the money that's coming in now goes straight back into development. So we are developing something else, which I can tell you we are building out a SaaS version. It's going to be a while because SaaS is hard. I don't care what anybody says, and it takes a lot. It takes a lot of money and a lot of investment in time and effort and learning. And we want it to be as comfortable to use as anything that you would use out there. And a Chrome extension is going to be coming out as well, pretty much the same as same time as the SaaS, but also the WordPress plugin. And we're celebrating this week, particularly because we're on .org,
right?
Which is great. So you can install Bertha straight from your WordPress dashboard now. Just search Bertha or AI. Even we come up as well under AI. Been on there for 3 days. We got 270 active,
nice
downloads just on that side, which is crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, I was telling you the other day when we were chatting, I've had a friend of mine reach out, and I kind of just help him with his website. He's also my barber. So, I want to make sure I get a good haircut. So I kind of help him with his site. But anyway, just like you, he dabbles in a bunch of different types of businesses, and he owns, with a partner, a ice cream shop, which is obviously closed now here in the Northeast, but he's getting ready for the springtime and all of that stuff. And he's like, hey, I want to add this content to the site. Is that something you want to do? And I'm like, no, this is not something that I want to do. Like, I'm not going to be writing pages about ice creams and events that people can hold and birthday parties and all this stuff. In fact, I don't even know where to begin if I were to do something like that. But with a plugin like this, well, maybe I can kind of guide him, to do it, or even take it on myself and help him out a little bit without worrying about, okay, blank canvas staring in front of me. Ice cream tastes good. You should have a birthday party here. Like I can get Bertha to prompt me with all of the lengthy content. I just kind of feed her the topic ideas and roll with it that way.
Well, she can come up with the topic ideas. So you can say, I want to talk about the history of gelato, for instance. How did gelato get started in New York? It started, actually, I know it because it was started in New York City by a couple of Italian immigrants, and it was actually ice. They were just selling blocks of ice, and then somebody decided to flavor it, and then they decided to crush it up and mix it up, and Bertha knows all that kind of stuff. But that can, in an about us kind of page, that can help you. You got a little bit of history, and then you can go, so we decided to do our own version of gelato or whatever. Bertha helps you with your mission statement. It helps you with your PAS frameworks, which is basically, you've got I've forgotten what PAS stands for now. Let me just, because I'm excited to be on your blog, your podcast. But it's basically, persuasive bullet points, product description. So you can put in this gelato is made with strawberry and fresh strawberry, and there's this in it and that in it and everything. And Bertha will actually come up with a recipe as well. You can come up with anything. So she is so clever, and the power of AI and the power of the prompts. You've got to give some kudos to Vito here, because he really dove deep into writing the prompts. And I'm not that way inclined as far as logic goes. I'm quite an illogical guy. That's why we built Bertha.
You're in the right place.
I just made it. Yeah, exactly. I just made a choice. Yeah, okay, we'll do that. And it's worked out, and it's working out for a lot of people. We've got one lady who was a beta tester, and she used it on she's producing 3 or 4 websites a month, right? She's using it on every single website. It's crazy. And I'm seeing the conversation I have with people saying, they say, thanks for Bertha, by the way, which is always good.
I do want to poke and prod just one final question here, because it is something that's on my mind, is what happens when all the robots take over? What happens if you're an agency owner, like so many of us are or might be listening to, and we do have a half a dozen restaurant clients, 12 accountants, a couple dozen lawyers. And this is crucial to maybe our copywriting service that we provide customers. Is there a way, for lack of a better phrase, to not have Bertha compete against itself or create the same content across the board? Or is that like, hey, you have to make this decision as the person who wields the power of Bertha. Like, do you have to be the one that says, okay, here's the structure that Bertha gives me, and now I'll massage it to be different from one client to the next, if you have clients all within the same category?
Well, there is some of that going on as well, but you've got to think about how AI copywriting works, and all the AI copywriting people out there, and I don't mind saying who they are: Copy AI, Word AI, Jarvis, Jasper, or Jerry will probably be the next name of Jasper. I don't know. They're all doing a fantastic job, and they're all writing things or they're all giving commands to Bertha to OpenAI in a different way, or in some different ways. But effectively, as a human being, I don't know what I'm going to say in 10 seconds time, or 3 seconds time, or a milliseconds time. I really don't. I know what I'm going to say, but I don't know how I'm going to structure it. And AI works in exactly the same way. It doesn't work word by word, or paragraph by paragraph, or sentence by sentence. It works letter by letter. So it basically creates, so it's T, what am I going to say there? And then looks at the context, and it will go there, this, that, the restaurant is in London, whatever, serves Mediterranean style food, but in a different, so it will do it in a different way. So it's pretty, I would say it's plagiarism free. You can have plagiarism checkers on it, but it's every test that I've done, and I've done over 1,000 tests on all of them, not just Bertha. And I've tested for plagiarism. I've used premium plagiarism checkers as well. They have all been 100% plagiarism free, right? Because that's the way AI works. It works the same as our brain, in as much as forming a sentence, forming a paragraph, forming a story. So I have no real concerns about that. And in fact, there is, as of today, I read, there's a really great character out there that knows so much about AI, a guy called Matthew Renz. And he's a lovely chap, and I had a couple of cocktails with him in London a few months ago. And he just posted a thing that there is an AI now building AI. So it's examining all of what the AI is doing, and basically making all these neurons, these new neurons. So I think AI will power us in so many different ways other than copywriting. And I don't think copywriters need to worry. If you're a copywriter, and I know a few that rebelled against me and said, what the hell are you doing? You're putting me out of a job. And I said, well, actually, I'm not, because if you use AI to write, your copy will be better. And also you'll be able to pad it out in a better way. I spoke with a very good journalist friend of mine who writes for crypto. Now, most people know that OpenAI stopped scraping the web in 2019, and it's only scraped 10% of the web. We know how big the web is, right? It still knows about crypto. Still, I built a crypto website the other day for a client in 4 hours and wrote the copy. All of it. They didn't change it. Not one word, right? I don't know about crypto. I do know a little bit about crypto, but I don't know the technicalities of it. So the short answer to your question is, don't worry about it, because there are things that if a lawyer talks about his law practice or her law practice, they will talk about their law practice in a different way. And that's exactly what Bertha will do. They'll still talk about the practice of law, or the way that they do things in that particular practice, or dentistry, or florists, or whatever. You can have a florist down one street and a florist there, and they will talk about their flowers or tulips or chrysanthemums in a different way. And that's where you'll get over the sameness of the copy. You could also say, because I'm going off on a tangent here, that every Divvy website looks like a Divvy website, or every Elementor website. Because as people in the web business, when I look at a website, I can actually tell when it's built with Elementor, right? Because the text seems to be bigger all the time.
Right.
I can tell when it's built by Divvy, because the head, people haven't really much about the header. And we can tell a basic WordPress website generally, right?
Yeah.
Don't test me on this, people, but that's the kind of feeling that you get. So you will you will say, okay, well, was this written by AI? I don't know. I don't think. There's all these rumors going around the Facebook groups of the Jarvis group and our group as well. Surely Google's going to spot that everything's being written by AI. Yeah, if you don't amend it and edit it, which is you're supposed to do, because they're writing assistants. Get that. They're not the writer. They're the writer. You're the editor. Just like a newspaper editor will edit a journalist's writing. So, as I say, the short answer is don't worry about it.
Sure. Andrew Palmer, hey, you're leading us to the promised land or to extinction with Bertha.ai. I'll let the consumer decide. Check out Bertha.ai. It's the fastest way to create content for your WordPress website. You can try it for free by searching for, I assume, Bertha.ai and WordPress.org. And you can give it a go for free. Start checking out what Bertha can do for you. Anywhere else you want to point folks to? So they can say thanks.
Divi users can go to wppluginsplus.com, and we still sell our plugins obviously on elegantmarketplace.com because I still support those guys. They acquired me, and hopefully it will continue the success that I had with it. And go buy our plugins on elegantmarketplace.com or wpplugins.com and have a chat with me on Twitter at Arnie Palmer.
Mattreport.com/subscribe to join the mailing list. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next episode.